Sorry Mama beans. This is dried fish.
Oh yeah. So much fun.
Or sesame seeds.
Sesame seeds?
But you didn't feel like you could belong to Singapore?
I can't belong to Singapore because I'm not a citizen. I'm still very American in certain ways. Like, I'm very independent. I say what I want, what I think. Well, not always, but I'm really... There's, like, a difference in the culture. And when I went there, I realized, like, I'm definitely, like, American. I'm American in, like, some Western and some personality traits, but I'm also, like, kind of Asian at the same time. I don't know. It's so complicated. It's really confusing.
Yeah, I thought it was really funny because the other day I called you an Asian American, and you're like, wait. But in my mind, you were 100% Asian American.
Maybe I am Asian American, and I never really knew what Asian American was.
Haha! My identity crisis!
But it's because I feel like a mixture of Asian Americans, because my best friends growing up were, like, Korean and Indian and Japanese.
Wait, where are the Chinese fish? Do they have those? Should I try this? Hey, that's good. I'm trying a piece of fish.
When I went to Singapore, though, it's really changed a lot since I was a child. Oh, the weird thing is when I was in Singapore, we would go places, and they would tell me, like, we're gonna go somewhere you totally went as a child, and we would go there.
Wait, who's they? Like,
just
they
like
were
my
taking
parents' friends that still lived there. Like, people I grew up with that I kind of, like, forgot about. Most of my best friends didn't live there anymore. One of my childhood best friends still lived there. Her name's RT, so I stayed with her and her mom for a while.
Wait, when you went back? Wait, when was that?
2 years ago?
2 years ago.
I went by myself after I studied in Japan.
Oh, okay.
I was studying.
What, that, what, like 21?
Yeah. And, yeah, I stayed with an American family, and then I stayed with an Indian family. Or Singaporean family, but ancestors from India.
That sounds delicious.
Sounds delicious. Oh, you mean the food?
Yeah, I would imagine they would make Indian food.
Yeah, they were making Indian food. It was really delicious. But it was weird because we would go places and they'd be like, we definitely went here together as like a kid. Like,
oh, that's how they
and
took you around.
you get there and you like get into like the escalator and you're like, oh my gosh, I used to come here like every week, and it's like so weird. Like, that memory was never there. And when I went there, I instantly, like, my mind just flooded.
Oh, it like
with
activates
memories.
everything.
Yeah, it was so crazy.
I love that feeling.
Yeah, it was really weird when I like went back to where I lived as a child. That was like really hard. Like, I wanted to cry, but I was just like holding it back because it felt like my home more than anywhere else that I'd ever lived. And there was this like feeling in my heart that like my parents should come downstairs from like our apartment. Isn't that weird?
My God.
It was such a weird feeling to like see where I used to play on the playground and where I learned to ride my bike, and like all these things happened there. You know what I'm saying? And this is like in a country that I'm not a citizen to.
Yeah, and you like don't have
and
regular access to.
Yeah, like that condominium complex every year they would do for Chinese New Year. They would do like the lions would come and do like a lion dance performance by the pool
at the condos.
Yeah, for all the people who live there.
So the condo association just paid for that.
Yeah, they would do that kind of stuff. Or like during the lantern festival, we would parade. We'd make our homemade lanterns and we'd parade around, and then we eat mooncake. Yeah, there's like things like that.
Wait, what was can you do your song, please?
Oh, I don't want to. I don't want to. It's okay. My Chinese New Year song.
It's okay.
It's okay. But we did sing a song that was like, when we were learning Mandarin, it was like, how are you? Ni hao, that means hello. And goodbye, Sai Chen. Sai Chen, I have to go. If you want to say I love you, say wa I me. Anyways, it's a song from like Sesame Street. Like Big Bird goes to like the Great Wall of China or something.
Wait.
And we would watch it like all the time in Mandarin class to like learn the language. This is when I was like 3 and 4. They started teaching us.
I can't believe you learned Mandarin.
We were learning French and Mandarin when I was like 3 years old. This is international school for you.
Fine.
It's like a really good education.
What do you think is the biggest difference between going to school in New York
Oh
and going to
gosh.
school in Singapore?
Well, first of all, Singapore is a private international school that I went to. I went to a Canadian and then an American school. So first, when I went to the Canadian,
Wait, in Singapore?
yeah, I was learning how to spell the British way, which was kind of like really confusing when I went back to America. But
You must have seemed like such a snob.
when I went back to America,
Yeah,
no,
I
I
was
just
like gray with an E.
no, my teachers would just give me like I'd be like 8 years old and they would give me papers with like red marks all over it. It did not help my self-esteem
Is
at
it-
all. I was
is it
like,
that
I
different,
hate.
though?
They did not do that because like the education I was going to was like really progressive and like not traditional like that. And do you know what I'm saying? Like we didn't do that to kindergartners. We didn't start reading till we were like in first grade.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it was like kind of Montessori style, I think.
That's very strange.
I mean, my parents taught me to read, but we didn't really like extensively learn to read. I don't know, and we would go on so many field trips and we would celebrate. Every year we'd have an International Day parade. We would celebrate every holiday. Diwali, Festival
That's
of
awesome.
Lights,
That's
and
really
like
awesome.
every religion we would learn about and like respect and like
That's
it
how
was
it needs
just-
to be done here.
yeah, which is really weird. And then I came back to America and everyone was like so sheltered, and I went to like a small town public school. I went to a school from every country in the world was going to my school, and then I went to a school where it was just like only Americans and like 2 kids who weren't white. And it was like
Wait, what were they?
like African American and then the adopted Asian kid.
Oh, the one that everyone stereotyped.
Yeah.
Very sad.
It was very hard. And like I didn't understand like the American culture either because I didn't watch Nickelodeon or any of that. I was watching like Japanese cartoons with like subtitles or like Japanese cartoons with like voiceovers or
Yeah.
I don't know.
And especially
Like-
like back then, because then you don't get that anymore all of a sudden because there's like no internet. Like,
Yeah, it was it was really weird. Like, and I don't know, I went from like living really nicely because we're foreigners to living like an okay, like more like in Singapore, like if you're a foreigner, you get paid well and you usually can have like a nanny or a maid living with you.
Oh.
Like we had a nanny from the Philippines when both my parents were
I didn't
working,
know
who
that.
like took care of us. Yeah, but she's just like family. Like a lot of Americans would have nanny or maids because certain types of families wouldn't treat them well and like would abuse them and stuff. So a lot of foreigners sometimes, if they were good, they would like pay them more and like do it to
Yeah.
help them as well. But like, yeah, I don't know. It was like I went from that to like living like like in a small town, farm town. Like I grew up going to my friends like really big houses who like had like 4 helpers at their house, and like actually we would never see their parents because their parents are like international business people. So they were never home, so like I only ever met their like nanny. And they would have like a moat pool around their house. And then I went to like a small town where like my best friend was like killing and eating squirrel with her BB gun when she was in 2nd grade. Like it was just like polar opposites, and it was so hard for me. If you can imagine.
I'm sorry, that was just a horrible mental image.
But so, like people where I live eat squirrel.
Wait, so that wasn't you weren't just saying that to
No,
exaggerate?
I know that.
Like kids by themselves? Or
Yeah,
they, like,
I don't know why my parents didn't move us to like California or like to more of a city
or at least like
area.
New York.
Yeah. My parents moved to a small town. I mean, we were close to like Ithaca. We were like 15 minutes away from Ithaca. So Cornell was one of the most diverse like Ivy League schools. So like there's a lot of different cultural restaurants and people around, but still it was like really hard. And yeah, I like brought dried squid to school. My mom went to the Chinese grocery store, and I thought everyone would think it was cool. I thought people would think I was cool, and they thought it was so weird. They were like, ew, this smells. And I was like, no, but it tastes good. And I would bring like shredded shrimp.
Did
or,
nobody
like,
at least
tuna.
try it? They were just
Automatically like,
Automatic
no, you're a witch. Like that. Because they never heard of Singapore. The farthest they've been is like maybe to Canada or Florida to visit their grandparents who like retired. Yeah, it was really hard. I don't think my parents realized how hard it was. I think they just thought like, oh, we're American and we're going home. But me and my other sister were like, what?
Yeah,
like,
you're
this
moving
is
to a completely
a different
foreign country.
place. Yeah, it was really weird for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still don't know if they really understand that. Maybe I think they do now. Yeah,
You should
but
make art about it only for your parents.
to
only
explain
show
to
your
them.
parents.
Yeah, that'd be funny. I don't know. So, I don't even know what I was saying about that. Oh yeah, so it was like really polar opposite, but also at the same, like I grew up in a really weird place. Like my parents, we just lived in like a small apartment. Most families who live in Singapore have like a nanny that lives with them. It's like really common.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like the culture there. And then like some of my friends were just like super like international business people, and like I told you they had like these huge houses and then anyways, but then we would also go on vacation a lot to like different countries.
Yeah.
But my parents, they wouldn't just go to like the fancy hotels. Like we would go there to some of them, but then they would like go into the village. Like we would go into the village and like get the real experience. So me, like as a 4, 5, 6-year-old, like I was like seeing like real life.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
And I was seeing really people who had nothing who were like so happy. Like I saw a lot, you know, at a really young age. So I like understood things like really deeply, and it was really weird to then move to like a place and people call me a witch. I don't know. It was weird.
But that might have at least helped a little bit from like moving in different class.
Yeah.
Like in Singapore to.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It totally helped. Like it helped. Well, because I'm just really understanding of just like people in general and like
seeing the whole range.
and like I've seen the range of like everything, like cultures and class, and even like because my mom, she's also a speech therapist, so she works with a lot of like students with like disabilities. So I've like seen all of that too. Yeah. So I'm like really understanding of like all types of people, and like everyone's like really my friend.
That's how you raise your kids.
Yeah, I know. That's why I think my mom moved us to like a small dairy town. I think she did that on purpose actually, because my dad had job offers in like cities, but she was like, no, we're moving to the hills. I think also she was just like so tired of living in like a huge Asian city. She just needed to be in nature. Yeah.
It's such an intense environment. Like so much going on at once, and I think it might have been really nice for her to upstate New York.